Hello, welcome to ArmandComdeyShow, a place where we meditate, where we pray, and hope for affordable housing. Today's show topic is silence, which means that most of the time today we will probably remain silent, because that is what's important in life. To watch a video where nothing is happening. Where nothing is happening, just so we can focus on ourselves, focus on the moment, focus on our families, those in need, and everybody else. This show is a place for narcissistic people, because here, the only thing we care about is ourselves, our ego, and fulfillment of the most insane desires. For example, being seen, being heard, being appreciated and validated by anything else in the world except ourselves. In order to understand this show and life in general, what we need to do is deconstruct. Deconstruction is the most important part of our journeys that we call life. And because of that, I urge you to not subscribe to this channel, and do not subscribe, and just exit the video and forget that you have seen anything or heard anything if you're listening to this. So we need to deconstruct. We need to not subscribe. Today's video is called Silence. I'm tired. I'm sweaty. I just came back from Trader Joe, which is a really nice place to be. I like going there sometimes. I don't even know about silence. Silence is something that sometimes is very useful. Let's talk about consumerism. Consumerism is a religious structure where nobody knows what's going on at all, inside themselves, in the outside world. And everything that we know is that we need to buy things, which is essentially the way for the system that we have organized to perpetuate itself. I don't see a problem in that, except if you think that that's the only situation that is around us, which is not. It's not. It's not the only situation. It's not even the situation. And we should not consume we should buy, we should taste, we should savor the goods that are provided to us, but we should never think that that's the only way to fulfill our dreams, essentially. Let's pull up some news. Let's see what's going on in the world today. The Christmas is coming, and that means that we will have to go see our families, maybe call our loved ones, maybe remember people who we have forgotten, maybe for good reason. Maybe we don't need those people in our lives. That's also okay. That is also okay. Okay. December 3rd, South Korea president to lift martial law after parliament rejects move. I don't care about anything that's going on outside my house, especially in South Korea. Let me know what is happening in North Korea. That is more appealing to me. That is more interesting and fundamental to me, how people are living there. And if you don't know, or if you can't report on that, go there and uh, document everything that's going on, even though that puts you in jail or on a death row. Either way, be a person who is willing to sacrifice their own life and freedom so that people in democratic society have any understanding of what's going on in North Korea. Here's the next one. Today we see Trump urges judge to dismiss hush money case due to election victory. I also see that as unimportant because it's all, what did I talk about a few seconds ago? Consumerism. Outline that. Consumerism. And the media cycle, the news cycle, everything that you see online, everything that you subscribe to is designed to distract you from your inner world, from things that really matter. Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do today? Things like, how do I deal with the fact that there's nothing outside our planet? How do I look at the moon at night and don't think about how lonely we are on this planet and in the universe at large? So I urge you to not pay attention to consumerism and not to consume and not to subscribe to anything. Just don't do anything. Don't do anything. Eat pasta, play sports, exercise, and kind of dread in the fact of your mortality. That's the best way to live life. That is the best way to live life. When you just wake up and the first thing that you think about is, how do I deal with the fact that I'm gonna die in a few years? And that is what's important. That's what's important. Not what Trump thinks or wants. He doesn't want anything also. Whatever he says is just a part of this whole, let's call it a spectacle. Let's call it a big spectacle. Now, if you remember, I said that this episode of ArmandComdeyShow, the biggest media channel on the planet. It's called Silence. So try to reconcile with that. Let me pull up some material. Let's talk about the difference between the Russians and Ukrainians. So basically, I'm from Ukraine. You can call me Ukrainian. You can call me Ukrainian or maybe Ukrainian. All of those things are right. But I'm not really Ukrainian, but I know Ukraine because I'm from Ukraine, if that makes sense. And so, first thing I'm going to educate you here for a little bit. First thing you got to know is there's a difference. There is a difference between the people from Ukraine and Russia. And prominent, most prominent difference is accent, how people talk, right? So when Ukrainian people speak, our language is very melodic. It's like melody. They're singing their thoughts. They're communicating in the way that mermaids communicate in the sea. They're just singing it out loud in the world. And whoever has a perception of what that song is understands the language. But Russian language is like they're cutting trees. It's like you take the hammer to cut the trees. You take the hammer, and then you start cutting trees with the hammer, and that's how Russian language sounds like. So let's start with that. Let's start differentiating by sound of cutting trees. That's how they sound like, and that's why we don't like them. That is the primary reason why Ukrainians don't like Russians is because they sound like they're cutting trees. And what we know is that the most important thing on this planet is to save the earth, from corporations who want to cut trees and make resources out of that. And Russians sound like they're not doing that. Russians sound like they're cutting trees in the morning, at night, especially at night, because nobody can see at night. Nobody can see at night. There's only the moon that is lonely. There's only the lonely moon who sees Russians cutting trees, and that's why we don't like them, and that's why nobody likes them on this show. Nobody likes them in outside of their empire, inside of their Russian empire. Good. We talked about that. Sound of cutting trees. Let me check this real quick because we have very tight schedule on this show. Okay. We still have some time. Because if you can't bear them, join them. So I joined LA parking enforcement. That is a good notion. That is a good notion. I grew up with fear of authority. Fear of authority because of my mom. She is a very authoritarian woman, and that's why I had to travel 5,000 miles to not be in that regime. And she still tries to send me letters of compliance. My mom is still sending me letters of compliance 5,000 miles away because she still tries to be an authoritarian leader that she is. So I have a big problem with authority. And when I got to LA, when I got to United States, I was kind of scared of policemen. I was trying to not look at them, which made them more suspicious. And they stop me. They come up to me in my car and they say, "We need to search your vehicle because you're acting weird." And I'm telling them, I said, "Guys, I'm from authoritarian regime. I'm scared of everybody who has the power of enforcement." And they gave me a hug. And that was the moment where I started liking police. And now I just come I walk up to them and I say, I like you guys. And they still think I'm suspicious because I do that. So, but we have a good relationships with police now. A lot of people, when I break the law, they don't judge me for it. They see the fear in my eyes and they let me go. And they let me go. Another story is LA parking enforcement. Let's write that down. LA parking enforcement. At this point, I feel like I have single-handedly upkept the whole budget of LA parking enforcement team because for some reason I have to pay every time I get drunk and I get home and I forget that it's Tuesday, and on Tuesday you're not supposed to park on this part of the street and you're supposed to park on that part of the street, and it's 9 a.m. and they come with their street sweeping team, street cleaning team, and they write me tickets and I can never remember where to park. But that's not the only issue. That is not the only issue. They catch me at they catch me when I park at bus stops. They catch me when I don't pay the parking meter, which is again, sometimes, most of the time I accept like a man, like a grown up, person, I accept. I say, "You know what, sir? I deserve that. I am going to submit what do you call that thing? When you want to argue with your ticket. I am still doing that, and they say most of the time you still have to pay, and I accept that. But sometimes why I have the problem with parking enforcement, sometimes I catch them in the act, right? I catch them in the act of writing me a ticket, and I'm here, and I'm already here, and I remember my police officers. I remember my police officers' experience, which was very nice, and they're very welcome. And with the same attitude, with the smile, with the right energy, I come up to parking enforcement officers and I say, "Parking enforcement person, please forgive me. I'm here. I see that you have not." Anyway, I get the ticket. Anyway, I get the ticket every time, and so that made me. That is like the most. That's probably one of the things that I hate the most in the United States, and probably in North America in general, maybe even in South America. I'm not sure about the cartels cutting heads of their enemies. I'm not sure about that, but I'm pretty sure about everything else. The parking enforcement is probably the worst thing that's ever happened to America in general, north and south. Cutting heads of cartel enemies are number two. Let's write that down. Cartel number two. So I decided maybe I should join the parking enforcement. Maybe I should become them, to beat them. Maybe I should do that. So anyway, I applied to become a part of California Bureau of Investigations. Cal BI. I wanted to be a white collar investigation team agent, which is the real agency. And I aspire to become an agent for California Bureau of Investigations, the Department of White Collar Crime Investigations. But unfortunately, they said you have to have an American passport. You have to have an American passport in order to be able to join the ranks of law enforcement. And unfortunately, as of now, I cannot join them, but I'm taking classes, I'm talking to people, I'm building social networks. I'm trying my best, and I'll see where that goes. We'll see where that goes. Thank you for participating in this experience. And this was the show. This was the episode, because we need to get out of here, because I bought a lot of stuff. From Trader Joe, and I need to make some chicken soup. And maybe sometime later, maybe I will share the sacred Ukrainian recipe of chicken noodle tomato potato soup. I urge you to think, to be silent, to be attentive, and to accept the inevitability of death. Goodbye.